They shoved her hard from behind, laughing as she plunged face first into the trench. They filmed it, shared it, turned her fall into a joke. What they didn't understand was that silence isn't surrender, and discipline doesn't need an audience. The next morning, she gathered them all in the bay. No warnings, no speeches, only a quiet example of what happens when you try to humiliate a Navy SEAL from behind. Now, before we show the footage that froze an entire base, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We read every single one. Tap like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next mission. Stay right here, because what followed wasn't revenge, it was correction. Gravel cracked beneath 50 pairs of boots. The sprinklers had soaked the yard before dawn, leaving dark slick patches glinting under buzzing sodium lights that whined too loudly in the quiet. SEALs and Marines lined up in staggered rows, breaths measured, backs straight, eyes fixed ahead. The air carried the smell of a wet nylon and rust. Lieutenant Commander Jade Cross stood at the front, her 8-point cover low, clipboard steady in her gloved hand. Her tone was sharp, balanced, never theatrical. Today's rotation: trench drag, vertical rope climb, cargo crawl, standard duration 11 minutes, pairings pre-assigned, interservice. Questions? None. Just the hum of the floodlights and boots shifting on slick stone. She gave one curt nod. Then let's proceed. As she stepped off the platform, a voice cut through from the left column. Careful, boys. Looks like SEAL Barbie's got her war face on. Controlled laughter rippled across the front line. Staff Sergeant Clint Harlow stood there, arms crossed, smirk etched deep. He wasn't new, and he wasn't naive. He knew exactly how far a tone could travel. Jade turned her head. One glance, that was all. Out here, rank outranked gender. Then she faced forward again like he hadn't spoken. The silence stretched thin and tight. Harlow sneered. Guess we'll see if the war doll keeps her uniform clean today. She didn't flinch, didn't pause. But from the third row, Petty Officer Aaron Miles noticed. The flicker in her eyes, the calm precision with which she let his ego burn itself out. She stepped off the platform, tucking the clipboard under one arm while instructors began calling names. The course loomed behind them. Black mud pits, rope ladders slick with dew, platforms swallowed in shadow. No one would leave clean, but that wasn't the point. And still, something felt sharper than rivalry. Harlow muttered to the Marine beside him. We'll see how long the lipstick lasts once she hits the mud. The Marine didn't laugh, at least not loudly, because even then. Jade crosses. Silence didn't write a submission. It felt like patience. Patience isn't weakness. It's waiting for precision. The obstacle pit sat carved deep in the far corner of Ravenfield Base, sandbags and barbed half-cages surrounding it like a deployment zone. By late morning, the sun burned hotter, and the trench water steamed. Pairs of recruits cycled through crawl drills while instructors timed every lap. The air reeked of damp webbing and sun-baked gear. Jade watched a SEAL Marine pair fight through the vertical hoist. One slipped, cursed under his breath. She noted it quietly on her clipboard. Behind her, Harlow lingered, unassigned, unnecessary, just watching. He wasn't timing anyone, wasn't checking rosters. He'd offered to assist, but everyone knew his reason. Jade knelt near the rope line to check a carabiner jammed with mud. She tapped it twice with her pen. That's when he stepped in. Need a hand, ma'am? Harlow called. Too loud, too smooth. He was close now, too close, hovering behind her while she knelt. A few Marines looked over, half interested, half amused. Jade rose, calm, sidestepped left, past him, not around. And that was enough. The shove came fast, 2 palms square between her shoulders, deliberate, measured. She pitched forward without warning. Boots slid, knees struck the edge, then her whole body, shoulder, chest, face, hit the waist-deep muck with a wet, brutal smack. The sound rippled through the yard. For a heartbeat, silence, then laughter. Short, shocked bursts, then rolling. Phones came out almost instantly. One younger Marine didn't even bother hiding it. He lifted his phone and hit record. Another angled his screen toward a buddy, both watching as a dark silhouette rose from the mud, arms glistening, hair plastered to her face, clipboard drifting just out of reach. Damn, she went down hard. Bet that trench was cleaner before she hit it. From across the pit, Petty Officer Ryan Vega stepped forward. "Cut it," he snapped. No one listened. Jade Cross stood, every movement deliberate. No flailing, no panic. Mud ran down her sleeve. Strands of hair clung to her face. Her right boot half disappeared in the muck. She fished out the warped clipboard, shook it once, and turned toward the group. Her tone stayed even. Training continues. She resumed position. No glare at a Harlow, no attempt to wipe her face, just fixed her gaze on the next pair in line. Hoist, begin. Then she walked toward the equipment table. Phones dropped, laughter died too late, but the footage was already captured, and in that sudden stillness hundreds of frames were quietly saved, none realizing it wasn't her fall they'd remember but the calm in her face. By noon, the clip had spread through the Marine barracks. Corporal Liam Dorsey sat on his footlocker, watching it loop on his bunkmate's phone for the 3rd time. Around them, half a dozen Marines crowded close, some laughing, some silent. Harlow really went for it, someone said. "About time someone knocked her off that high horse," another added. Dorsey didn't laugh. He kept rewinding, watching her rise, her face steady, retrieving that ruined clipboard before speaking only 2 words. "Training continues." "You see that?" he said. She didn't even react. His bunkmate shrugged, probably just embarrassed. Dorsey shook his head. "No, that's not embarrassment, that's something else." Across Ravenfield Base, the SEAL ready room felt different. 3 candidates sat near the lockers, voices low. Petty Officer Aaron Miles leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "How many do you think have seen it?" one asked. "Enough," Miles replied. "But they're all missing the point." He looked up, jaw tight. She let him do it. She saw him coming, but she didn't stop it. The youngest frowned. Why would she let that happen? "Because now it's on record," Miles said. "It's not his word against hers anymore. That's official evidence. An instructor assaulting a SEAL officer during regulated training." He pushed off the wall. "And if I know Commander Cross, she's just warming up." Another candidate leaned forward. "You served under her before, right?" "Jordan Extraction, 2021? Miles nodded. She took a knife to the shoulder, hauling a pilot out of a hot zone. "Didn't say a word, didn't stop, didn't even report it till we were airborne." He paused. "Harlow thinks he humiliated her. What he really did was give her the reason to reset the entire standard." The room fell quiet. "So, what happens next?" one asked. Miles didn't reply immediately. His eyes drifted toward the admin building where Commander Owen Hale's office sat. "Something precise," he finally said. By nightfall, the base laundry bay was nearly silent. Most of the day's gear had been washed and hung. The lights hummed yellow, one flickering near the corner, where someone had taped its timer on permanent overtime. Jade Cross stood in the back, sleeves rolled, collar undone, her mud-stained jacket clutched like something dragged in from battle. She worked in silence, scrubbing at the shoulder where she'd hit the trench, Small, steady circles with a bristle brush. No slamming, no muttering, just rhythm. Steam rose, brown water circling the drain. The door hissed open behind her. Footsteps on linoleum. "Figured you'd be here." She didn't turn. It was Vega. Younger than her, a SEAL medic who carried his field kit even off duty, like someone might drop any moment. He stepped beside her sink. Didn't wash anything. "That video's everywhere," he said. "Started as a joke." "And now?" she asked, wringing her sleeve once, hanging it on the pipe before scrubbing her trousers. "Now, the captions keep changing," he said quietly. "You could report him." "Why?" she replied. "It's already documented." "Not by you." "Doesn't need to be. They did it for me." He studied her for a moment longer, then reached into his jacket and pulled out something wrapped in a microfiber cloth. A phone. Not hers, not his. "Found this on the bleachers after the pit," he said. "Forgotten, unlocked. Videos time-stamped, geotagged, matches the main trench. Even has audio." For the first time, Jade Cross turned her head, one brow slightly raised. "You stole a Marine's phone?" "Confiscated evidence," Ryan Vega replied. "I'm a medic. I can claim concern." Jade glanced down at the scrub brush, then at her still-soiled trousers. Without a word, she tucked the phone into her towel pile and returned to cleaning. "Let them spread it," she murmured. "Proof has weight, and weight crushes noise." Vega didn't smile. He just nodded once and moved toward the door. Before leaving, he paused. "You know, Commander Owen Hale will hear about this, probably before you finish drying those sleeves." "Then he'll know where to find me," she said simply. The door closed behind him. She was alone again, elbow deep in silence, the sink bubbling faintly with detergent, and the last traces of that morning's arrogance. She didn't scrub harder, she scrubbed smarter. By 00:0500, the clip had been edited 3 times and passed through 2 command group chats. The first version was crude. Lady Seal eats mud after giving orders. The second came tighter, with slow motion and fake crowd noise. The third had no caption at all, just raw footage. A woman in uniform shoved face first into a trench, standing without a word. That one spread fastest through the Marine wing. It was being replayed on breakfast trays. You see her face? Like a damn robot. Didn't even blink, creepy as hell. At a corner table, Clint Harlow still laughed, pretending the joke hadn't gone stale. "She wanted to lead like one of the boys," he said, fork waving, "so she took the hit like one." His tone teetered between smug and uneasy. One young Marine looked down at his coffee, silent. "Relax," Harlow said. "She didn't break anything. She'll show up tomorrow. New jacket, same clipboard, like nothing happened." Across the compound, the tone was different. In the SEAL medic bay, Vega sat against the concrete wall near the supply office, scrolling through the confiscated phone. He uploaded the unedited clip to a secure server. Timestamps intact, no filters, no music, no jokes, just truth. That's what he carried across the admin quad, through the steel doors of Command Wing Bravo, and into Commander Owen Hale's office. Hale looked up once, didn't ask why Vega was there, just nodded. "Go ahead." Vega pressed play, 17 seconds. No narration, no effects. Just a Marine instructor shoving a SEAL officer into the trench. Laughter, phones, and the silent rise of Jade Cross, soaked and steady, saying, "Training continues." Vega spoke only once. "Figured you'd want to see the original, sir." Hale didn't lift his eyes from the screen. He watched every frame, rewound it, studied it again, not with surprise, but calculation. "Who else has this version?" he asked. "Just me, and maybe a dozen others who don't realize what they've got." Hale placed the phone down gently. "That ends now. Secure it. Send me the file and a clean review log by 1100. Vega nodded. "She didn't ask for anything, sir." "She won't," Hale said. "So what happens next?" Vega asked. Hale's eyes stayed on the paused image. Mud on her collar, eyes forward, clipboard hanging from her wrist like a burden she refused to drop. "We run a demonstration," he said, "not to defend her, to correct them." Word traveled fast through unofficial channels. By 1600 hours, everyone at Ravenfield Base knew something was planned at the warehouse. The notice read, "Joint Training Correction Drill," but everyone knew the truth. Someone was about to get corrected, and no one wanted to miss it. By 1645, small clusters of Marines and SEALs gathered near the entrance, pretending to have business nearby. Corporal Liam Dorsey stood with arms crossed, eyes on the door. Beside him, Private Kyle Jensen shifted nervously. "You really think this is about the trench?" Jensen asked. "What else could it be?" Dorsey said. "Maybe just a drill. Maybe we're reading too much into it." Dorsey didn't reply. He was watching something else. A senior SEAL instructor heading for the door with the kind of purpose that meant this wasn't just another drill. He watched a senior SEAL instructor, someone unfamiliar, stride past toward the warehouse doors. The man's face was unreadable, but his steps carried purpose, like he was heading to witness something that mattered. Private Kyle Jensen lowered his voice. "You think Harlow knows what's coming?" "He knows," Corporal Liam Dorsey said. "He just thinks he's untouchable." A gravelly voice cut in from behind them. "He's not." They turned. A Marine gunnery sergeant they'd seen around but never spoken to stood a few paces away. Older, hardened, the kind of man whose eyes had seen too much to be surprised by anything. "You know Commander Cross?" Dorsey asked. The gunny nodded once. "Worked joint ops with her unit back in 19 Carson Province. We were trapped in a compound for 6 hours. 3 down, no medevac. She walked out into open fire to haul a wounded Marine back. Took 2 rounds in the vest. Never stopped moving." He paused. "When she finally got him to cover, you know what she said?" Dorsey shook his head. "Next one moves faster." The gunny glanced toward the warehouse. "She doesn't do revenge, she does adjustment, and adjustment's worse." Jensen swallowed. "You think she's gonna hurt him?" The gunny almost smiled. "No, she's gonna teach him, and trust me, that's worse." He walked past them, boots echoing toward the entrance. Dorsey and Jensen stood there for a moment before Jensen whispered, "We're watching this, right?" "Yeah," Dorsey said, "we're watching." Inside, the air felt colder than it looked. The warehouse had been cleared. No crates, no gear, no transport pallets. It resembled a stage now, bare concrete, idle ceiling fans, red hazard lines taped around the floor. Someone had mopped it spotless before sunrise. The surface gleamed faintly beneath the fluorescence. No mud, no trenches. Just open, echoing space. Jade Cross stood near the wall, arms folded behind her back, uniform pressed, hair pulled tight, every line sharp and controlled. Clint Harlow entered last, still half laughing with 2 Marines, ego humming. Same fatigues as yesterday, sleeves rolled, confidence radiating from someone who thought nothing had changed. Commander Owen Hale stood on a raised platform near the far wall, notepad in hand, flanked by 2 junior officers with recording tablets. "This is a controlled correctional demonstration," he announced, his calm voice slicing through the air. "Documented per regulation. Purpose is instructional, not punitive." Harlow smirked. "Planning to teach etiquette, ma'am?" he called out loud enough to carry. Jade stepped forward once. Her boots hit concrete. One measured sound, then stillness. She turned toward 2 Marines waiting near the training zone. Volunteers. Neither looked eager. One shifted, the other just nodded. Hale signaled the camera crew, and the red lights blinked on. Jade gave a single command. Engage as instructed. The first Marine lunged, shoulder feint, high arm grab, standard test maneuver. She redirected his motion with a quick hip pivot and dropped him on his back. A hollow thud echoed. He blinked at the lights. Control confirmed. Reset, Hale said evenly. The second Marine approached slower, sweeping for her leg while grabbing her collar, a common correction tactic. She turned with it, locked his elbow, and folded him down using his own stance. No drama, no sound, just precision. She stepped back, calm, steady, uniform unwrinkled. It wasn't aggression, it was calibration. Harlow leaned forward, cracking his knuckles. "We're calling that a fight?" Jade turned slightly. "You're welcome to participate, Sergeant." A pause stretched, then he stepped forward. Ryan Vega, standing behind Hale with arms crossed, murmured, "Here it comes." They faced each other at the center mat. Harlow rolled his shoulders, acting like he was stepping into a friendly spar. Jade didn't move. Hale raised a hand. "You both know the limits. 1 contact round, no strikes, no takedowns beyond rotation control." Jade nodded once. "Even. Understood." Harlow grinned. "Let's see what the War Doll's got." No laughter this time. Everyone saw it in her stillness, her precision. Hale's hand dropped. The round began. Clint Harlow began to circle, boots echoing against the concrete, arms loose, moving like a man who thought victory was already his. His jaw flexed, the faint ghost of a smirk that didn't quite reach his eyes. Jade Cross stood motionless in the center, hands relaxed, elbows loose, no stance, perfectly balanced, waiting. "You sure you're ready, ma'am?" Harlow taunted. "Wouldn't want to mess up your hair." She gave no reply. Commander Owen Hale nodded from the sideline. "Begin." Harlow moved first, slow, deliberate. He stepped in wide, reaching for her collarbone, testing distance. She didn't move. He stepped back again. One Marine near the wall muttered, "He's showboating." Another whispered, "No, he's stalling." Then came the real move. Harlow feigned retreat, half turning as if it was over, then pivoted fast, lunging from behind with both arms low and hard. The same shove. High between the shoulders, same aggression, same arrogance. But this time she was ready. Jade dropped low, let his momentum carry through, caught his arm mid-swing, and spun hard on her right foot. The movement was fluid. Too sharp, too clean. It almost looked choreographed. His boots left the floor, one shoulder smacking the concrete. She stayed upright. In one seamless motion, she pinned him with her knee just below the ribs, not brutal, just controlled, and used his wrist to torque him flat. His face twisted, shock cutting through what was left of his ego. She leaned down, voice low but clear enough for the cameras. "That's why you never attack from behind." Silence devoured the room. No coughs, no shifting, only the faint hum of 2 cameras capturing every second. Jade stood, adjusted her collar, turned back to the observers and walked away without looking down. Harlow stayed on the floor longer than necessary. When he finally rose, he didn't meet a single gaze. His face burned, not from effort, but humiliation. One of his men reached out a hand. He ignored it. Commander Hale stepped forward, tone steady. Demonstration concluded. All movements within regulation, control confirmed. He tapped the tablet, click. Recording stopped. No applause. no comments. Jade Cross. Walked to the edge of the mat, posture exact, eyes forward. The same stance she'd held on the parade ground the day before. But now, no one dared speak. No mockery, no laughter, no phones. Just thick, irreversible silence. From the back, Ryan Vega exhaled through his nose. "Well," he muttered, "guess that's on tape too." In the center, Harlow still hadn't spoken. His pride had hit harder ground than his body ever could, and this time everyone had seen it. Unedited, undeniable. The difference now was clear. She hadn't needed strength. She'd only needed timing, and timing was hers alone. The conference room reeked faintly of ozone and dry erase markers, windowless, sterile. A long steel table ran its length, chairs scraping too loudly whenever anyone moved. Nobody sat comfortably, not even the ones wearing rank bars. At the head, Commander Hale flipped open a black folder marked with the emblem of the Joint Training Oversight Council. 2 junior officers sat beside him, one typing, one holding the printed transcript of the warehouse demonstration. Across the table sat Clint Harlow and the 2 Marines who'd stuck closest to him all week. None of them were laughing now. Their easy defiance had drained into stiff, uneasy silence. One Marine clasped his hands tight. The other kept darting glances at the monitor in front of Commander Owen Hale, like maybe it would blink off and spare them. At the far end sat Jade Cross. Back straight, uniform flawless, one arm resting lightly on the table's edge. She wasn't commanding the room or performing for it. She was simply there, steady. Hale didn't start with questions. He turned the screen toward them. The first clip rolled, unedited, raw, pulled from the confiscated Marine phone. Harlow's voice echoed, "Careful, boys. Don't let Seal Barbie get too close to the edge." Then came the shove, the splash, the rise, mud clinging to her collar, her calm voice saying, "Training continues." The room stayed silent. Then Hale played the second clip, the warehouse footage, captured less than a day earlier. Multi-angle view, Harlow's lunge, her pivot, throw, and pin, 5 seconds flat. Her voice carried through the audio. That's why you never attack from behind. Hale paused the playback, just as, Jade Chow turned away. His gaze shifted to Harlow. "Do you believe this demonstration was exaggerated or misrepresented?" Harlow hesitated. "Sir, I believe tensions were high, but nothing done was outside protocol." Hale nodded once. "Let me rephrase. Do you believe that shoving a superior officer into a trench during regulated instruction, specifically to humiliate them in front of their unit, fits within your definition of acceptable training conduct?" One of the Marines beside Harlow flinched. Harlow's voice came out smaller now. "It wasn't meant to escalate, sir." Hale closed the folder. "Intent isn't on trial here. Impact is." His eyes moved to the 2 Marines. "You filmed and circulated unauthorized footage of a superior being assaulted, and you laughed. You'll both be written up under Article 15 for digital misconduct and unit discredit. Your phones are now evidence." Then he turned back to Harlow. "Staff Sergeant Clint Harlow, you are hereby suspended from all joint training operations pending review by the Command Advisory Board, effective immediately." Harlow's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Hale finally faced Jade Cross. "Lieutenant Commander Cross, your restraint during both incidents was exemplary. Command is submitting a commendation for exceptional control under provocation." She shook her head once. Correction was enough. Hale didn't smile, but a faint shift touched the corners of his eyes. He closed the folder. Session adjourned. No one moved at first. Then, one by one, chairs scraped back, not dismissal, but release. When Jade eyes stood, not a single man at that table met her eyes. Outside, the corridor stretched wide and sterile, lined with portraits of past commanders and plaques no one ever read. It was built to feel honorable, but always managed to feel hollow. Jade Cross walked through the double doors without hesitation. No papers, no folder, no expression. Just presence. Down the hall, a few admin officers stood in small clusters, pretending not to look. One woman lowered her eyes as Jade passed. Another straightened her posture like instinct demanded respect. Jade didn't nod, didn't acknowledge. She just kept walking. At the far end, Clint Harlow sat alone on a long metal bench. His sleeves were rolled, his boots scuffed. His posture collapsed for the first time in 3 days. Elbows on knees, hands hanging heavy between them. Not exhaustion, but realization. He didn't glance up until she was beside him. His voice came out rough. "Guess you got your revenge." Jade Cross didn't slow, but she did pause, half a step past him. She turned just enough to catch him in her peripheral vision. "No," she said softly. "I got accuracy." Then she walked on. No swagger, no glance back. Just the echo of her boots fading under the hum of fluorescent lights. At the end of the hall, Commander Hale waited by the elevator bay, arms crossed, eyes following her approach. He didn't speak right away, just watched her gait, like studying a report in motion. When she reached him, he exhaled. "He'll spin it," Hale said quietly. "Claim the whole thing was personal." She met his gaze, calm and unwavering. "It wasn't." Hale nodded once. "I know." Commander Owen Hale said quietly, "That's why it worked." Behind him, the elevator chimed softly. Jade Cross stepped inside, turned back once. "Next roster's up Monday. I want the first slot." "You'll have it," Hale replied. The doors slid shut between them, sealing the moment in silence. And just like that, Jade Cross disappeared into the next hour, the next task, the next duty. No applause, no headlines, just one less problem walking behind her. By afternoon, the trench course looked the same. Same mud, same ropes, same sun baking the edges of the pit. But the air felt heavier, quieter. Like the ground itself remembered what had happened the day before and decided not to mock anyone this time. Recruits lined up again, same pairings, same instructors calling times, but their stance had changed. Less swagger, fewer jokes. Everyone moved with the kind of respect that doesn't come from fear. It comes from comprehension. Choda stood at the same spot where she'd gone face first into the mud exactly 24 hours earlier. Her boots rested just behind the tape line. Hands clasped behind her back. Uniform spotless. Not a trace of yesterday. From behind, Ryan Vega approached slowly, coffee in hand. "No one's filming today," he said, voice low. "Guess they don't want to star in the sequel." He glanced at the pit. "Looks cleaner out here." Jade gave the faintest nod. Clean's just perspective. A whistle blew, the first team dove in, crawling through shallow muck, boots slapping wet earth. Jade didn't look away. She simply called the next name on the roster. No speeches, no spotlight, just control, fully restored. And this time, no one followed her too closely. Would you have stayed silent if someone humiliated you in front of your entire unit? Do you believe control means walking away, or standing still until the room changes around you? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss the next mission. Share this video with someone who still thinks silence is weakness. Our next story's already waiting on your screen. go watch it now. This is Major Tom's Tales.